3 years ago when they started tearing down Confederate statues and everybody said, well, you know, Confederate statues, I guess they could go. I knew at that point that they would not stop at Confederate statues. Now they want to take down statues of people who never even lived during the years of Northern aggression. The War of Northern Aggression is what I call it. It's not the Civil War. It's a war of Northern aggression. We were Southern. Our family is Southern. We fought for the Confederacy. We supported the Confederacy. And if this was 1861, I would be wearing a gray uniform and supporting the Confederate Army. 100%. You see, the War of Northern Aggression was not fought over slavery. The War of Northern Aggression was fought over taxation, and it was fought over northeastern industrial cities to get a power hold on the wealth of the United States. And that's exactly what happened. I'm not going to go into the long battles of the War of Northern Aggression, but we could do that on another show. To continue my story, my wife finally had to resign TCU after 11 years of working with it. And now remember, my wife has a PhD in education, and she has a master's in educational administration and a bachelor's in marketing. So she's very well educated. She had never done anything wrong. And these idiots at TCU, these worms at TCU, would not stand up behind her at all. Not one single individual would stand up behind her. They all hung her out to dry. Why? Because they are scared to death to be politically incorrect. They're scared to death of Black Lives Matter. They're scared to death of Antifa. They're scared to death of them bringing their protests to TCU. This group wants to tear down the founder statues at TCU, who both served in the Confederate Army. Both of them served not as officers, not as generals, but as enlisted men. I have friends in the Fort Worth Police Department. A very good friend of mine that I served in the Marines with. I'm not going to mention his name, but he is a very, very good friend. I've known him for over 30 years. And he told me that the police want to take action against the protesters, the terrorists, but they're being told to stand down by our city leaders. I also talked to my city councilman, Jungus Jordan. And Jungus, who is the only member of the city council who stands on the conservative side, who stands against the mayor and against the rest of the council. I asked Jungus, I said, Jungus, why are y'all giving permits to these people to protest, to clog up the streets, to harass people on the sidewalks, harass businesses, harass the citizens of Fort Worth? Jungus told me, he said, we're not giving them permits. We're allowing them to exercise their First Amendment rights because we're being threatened by the attorneys behind Black Lives Matter, which are being funded by George Soros himself, that if we take action against them, then they will file lawsuit after lawsuit against the city of Fort Worth. And our attorneys, the city attorneys for Fort Worth, are telling us that the best thing we can do is to stand by and let it happen. I'm telling you that that is not the way to go. You cannot stand by and let these Marxists come into your city and tear things up. These are violent people, either violent physically, as we've seen in Minneapolis or Los Angeles or Chicago or New York or Washington, D.C. or Atlanta, or they're malcontents that will use any means, including extortion, to get their way. They used extortion to go up against us, against our family. After this, the Star-Telegram wrote a full page on us. They went through all of our social media. They tried to contact us to get a comment, but I knew not to answer any of their pleas because I knew that their Marxist rag that they have now would simply be slanted to the left side and that we would be besmirched no matter what we said. It's better for them to go ahead and run their rag story, run their lies, and let them have their say-so. And I noticed in the comments afterward, not one single person condemned us. They either condemned the Star-Telegram for smearing us, or they condemned TCU for being spineless worms, which is what they are. This tumultuous period that we're living in presents a paradigm shift that will be recorded in history, I believe, for our entire nation. And we all know it's because of the re-election of Donald Trump this year. None of this stuff would be going on. The Chinese flu wouldn't have been launched against us, and I believe that it was coordinated between the Democrats and the Chinese. I believe that there is a cabal in place, as I've said in all of my Corona films, and I believe that this is to destroy our economy. They're still trying to destroy our economy by exposing all of the cases that are coming out. And you stop and think about these cases, and I'm not going to get back to the Corona stuff, but stop and think about the cases for a second. They talk about how many cases that are coming out. Well, for one, we're testing a lot more. So who knows? We might have had as many cases back in the beginning or even more, but we weren't testing. But now we're testing. It's like the president said tonight on Sean Hannity. He said other countries are not testing. They don't have the capability of testing. We're testing all the time now. So we're coming up with more and more cases. Most of these people are asymptomatic. It means they carry it, but they have no symptoms. And we talk about all the deaths that have happened in the United States. I tell you what I'd like to see, real quick. I'd like for them to take all of the deaths that supposedly died of the corona, put them in a big pile, and go through their death certificates and take all of those that died of contributing illnesses like cancer or heart attack or diabetes or any of these other problems, put them in one pile, and then take the actual healthy adults, say 25-year-olds. How many 25-year-olds, how many guys that came out of boot camp who were at the top of the line of their physical health and came down with the corona and only died of the corona illness? I'd like to see that stack, and I would guarantee you dollars to donuts that more people have slipped on banana peels and died of slipping and falling than have died of corona. I do not believe the numbers. Anyway, one of the other things that I wanted to mention in this film is the fact that YouTube is on the attack as well. As I said in the very beginning, I came out with 5 films, and I came out with 2 films before these 5 films. So in all, I have 7 films. Of those 7 films, they have taken down 3 of my corona films. Why? Because they expose the truth. You see, YouTube has an agenda, and they're in the cabal with all of the liberals. We know that, as I've tried to illustrate in all the films. Now, you can see these 3 films on Bitchute, and I'm going to list them down below if YouTube doesn't take this one down. If they do, well, I've got something to say about that in just a second. But the 3 films that they took down are the Corona Chinese Hoax Part 1 that came out March the 24th of 2020, the Corona Chinese Hoax Part 2 that came out April the 1st, 2020, and the Chinese Flu Strategy Part 3, Pandemic and Conspiracy, and that came out on June the 8th, 2020. Now, these all could be found on Bitchute. Bitchute doesn't take anything down, and I'm going to be putting all of my stuff on Bitchute, which brings me to the last of what I want to say here, and that is I've tried to think of the best way to do these films from here on out in season 2. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a 1-minute special on YouTube for each film that I make. So I'm going to make each film just like I've done before. I'm going to try to make them a little bit faster than I have, but I'm going to make a 1-minute film to coincide with them, and that's going to be a promotional film that'll run on YouTube. But each one of these promotional films, you'll link down below to Bitchute so you can watch the real film. That way I don't have to worry about YouTube taking my films down for content that they don't agree with, the content that doesn't lean Marxist left enough for them. So I encourage everybody to go to Bitchute and register and create an account so that you can watch all of these films, because Bitchute doesn't take anything down. They allow the First Amendment to reign. They allow people to say whatever that they want to say. The next film you're going to see is my premiere of season 2, and that should be coming out in a few more days. But as I say, it's been a very tumultuous time for us. We're adjusting to things. Everything is fine. We have investments and we have other companies to work with, and everything is going to be fine. It's just that we were shocked to see that the stuff that's happening on the news was happening right here in Fort Worth, Texas, right here to the Ivory Tusk. So my message for all of you is to watch what happens. And the same thing that's happened to us can happen to you. My friends, if we don't start getting together, if we don't start standing shoulder to shoulder against these Marxist terrorists that are Black Lives Matter and Antifa, then it's going to be curtains for all of us. These United States will not be what they once were. And we need to prepare ourselves. Donald Trump must win this election. We must do every single thing we can do to make sure that Trump wins the election.
And we will make America great again. God bless you and good night. I love you.
Because if Biden and the Democrats get in there, all hell is going to break loose. Now, don't get me wrong. If my man Trump wins, they're going to launch a war on him and the rest of us like you've never seen. But we're much better off by having Trump in the White House. So do what you can to support Donald Trump. Do what you can to support, I hate to say this, the Republican Party, because I'm not that crazy about the Republicans as they are. I'm not that crazy, especially Kay Granger, my congressman, who would not lift a finger after I wrote and called her several times, would not lift a finger to help us. I would like to see her defeated, but only by a Republican, not a Democrat. So for now, look forward to the next BarbWire Strategy. I promise you I'm going to be coming out with these a lot faster than I have been, and I've got a lot of content. We'll see you next time on BarbWire Strategy. If you enjoy this episode of BarbWire Strategy, then you'll enjoy all of our episodes. Of course, our main topic is politics and the re-election of Donald Trump, but we also have shows on literature, history, and let's not forget Cigar Nights, where we provide you with an excellent course on the etiquette of smoking fine cigars. Join us throughout the next season in Season 2, where we're going to introduce 3 new topics. And those 3 topics are going to be tarot cards, board games, and a little bit on the financial stock market. I know that's a crazy mix, but just stay with me on this. This is going to be exciting this season. And don't forget to hit the subscribe button and the like button. Help me and the Donald out this year, in our election year, to subscribe and like. Like often as you can, just like you should vote as often as you can. Don't forget that if you can't find my show on YouTube, then you can always go to Bitchute, because sometimes YouTube doesn't believe in the First Amendment, but Bitchute always agrees with the First Amendment and never takes anything down. So go to Bitchute and create an account, because I put my stuff up on there too. I'm also trying to upload to other platforms, so look for me on other platforms and I'll keep you informed. Check out my Instagram, my Facebook, and my Twitter, because you can catch me on all 3 of those networks. My name is Colonel Jim Ed Love, and here on BarbWire Strategy, I give you a different perspective to look at the complicated political strategies and problems of the day from a point of view of the 19th century. You see, I have never changed my way of thinking. I still think of things as they were in the 19th century. And every now and then, don't forget that we take a call from very important people all over the world. We might get a call from the Queen of England, or we might get a call from the Pentagon, or we might get a call from Putin himself here on this direct line, or the boys over at the CIA and the NSA. They don't have to watch us. They can just give us a call directly on this line. And also, let's not forget that Donald Trump calls us on this line right here. This candlestick phone is directly to the White House, and he likes to call me for consent, advice, and just to have a friendly ear to listen to him at the end of the day. So join us on BarbWire Strategy, where we can give you a direction on where to go in these complicated political times. Oh, wait a minute. There's the Queen of England. Hold on. That's the Pentagon. I better get that. No, wait a minute. There's Putin. I wonder what he wants. Oh, the boys at the CIA have something to say. Hold on. Ah, there we go. There's the phone call. Hey, listen, I'll have to join you later. Hello, Mr. President.
Hello.
We'll see you next time on BarbWire Strategy.
How are you? How you doing? Okay.
How are you doing, Mr. President?
The news is fake. It's.
Yes, I know. These are complicated times.
Nobody has any idea how dishonest it is, actually.
Well, I don't know.
It's incredible. It's even hard for me to believe.
Well, I'm sure that we can find an answer to that.
I would say far worse than 4 years ago.
Yes, sir.
They're just unhinged. And I'll tell you, you're going to be back soon, and you're going to have a great, you watch, a transitional third quarter. You're transitioning in, and your fourth quarter is going to be really good. And I think next year is going to be